Yeah.
Oh, well, let's just start with the podcast then.
What is this? 40? And
We'll get to that in a second.
it's got the, oh my God, I'm blanking on the monument.
We'll get to the beer in a second.
All right.
This is a story behind the beer.
Okay. So it's episode 48 of Auto Off Topic.
It is.
We're getting close to 50. No, it's definitely 48.
100%.
I am keeping track of it now much better.
I've gone back and looked and proven that you are correct.
Yes. The one where I doubted you, that was totally on me.
Anyway.
Jinx.
Welcome. Wow, throwback. Welcome to episode 48 of Auto Off Topic. I'm Brad.
And I'm your host, Andrew.
So what do we have to speak about this evening, Andrew? No guest tonight because it's kind of a traditional just you and me night.
Yep. And we've got Lime Rock Historics coming up. We keep talking about it. We'll be there Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Days. Yeah.
It's quickly become a summer tradition for us. I should have... Can you pull up the list of what cars are running? Like the schedule?
Is there a list?
There should be an event schedule. And I meant to grab it before so we could run down like what we're going to see. And I forgot to. So in the meantime, I was also asked to plug the Black River Stages Rally that's in Harrisville, New York. That is September 9th. So unfortunately, I can't go this year. I went way back in 2012. Just not quite enough time with the amount of things I need to do and help out with before the wedding. So that was Instagram user BizPiz. And I can't... Let me see if I can find his real name.
Yeah, it's fine. As long as somebody finds his Instagram name of BizPiz.
Yeah. Ryan Buckland, because he's running combo car in his Galant VR4.
Combo car, so that's like
course opener.
Course opener kind of deal?
Yep.
Excellent.
So that's pretty cool. So that is on September 9th. And it is in Harrisville, New York. You can find information on it at NASARallysport.com. They always need volunteers and ham radio operators. It's a great way to participate in rally. The area up there is really beautiful. The road's really cool. I believe there is a water crossing stage that at least there was in 2012 when I went. There's a couple jumps. Like I believe the stage is called Goose Pond. Cars get pretty good air. And you could, of course, always just Google Black River Stages, and you'll find it. So check that out,
so
please.
So this is on the 9th?
It's on the 9th. It's a single-day rally.
How far is it from here?
8 hours.
Oh, it's kind of a hike for one day, huh?
It is. It's a good rally, but it's far from us.
Maybe I'll see if I can make it up there and have one of us up there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't think I have anything going on that weekend.
Nope.
I'll double check, obviously, but that's the weekend.
I mean, it's basically it's the weekend after this one.
Yeah.
So that's not a ton of time. I'm off that week because it's the wedding.
Right.
But
it wouldn't take too much time to plan it if I just brought a tent and camp somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got family coming in, so I want to be around to help out. So unfortunately, not this year.
Well, since it's not my wedding weekend, I am not busy, so I might go. So we'll see what happens. I'll know better, next Thursday's episode, I should say. I'll decide for sure if I'm going or not. All depends, I guess, on how much money we spend this weekend at the Historics.
Yeah. What did you find the list?
I did find the list.
Okay.
However, the way Lime Rock sets up the Historic Festival, the names of the run groups aren't really descriptive.
Okay.
So you have groups 1 through 9.
Yeah.
I'm going to lift my computer up here so I can talk into the mic. Group 1 is called Herb's Choice. I don't know if that's Herb Chambers because he probably sponsors the event.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or it could be a different Herb from before. Oh, nope. I'm definitely wrong. It does say it right wrong. Herb is Herb Watanson, a longtime vintage racing mover and shaker.
Mm-hmm.
So Group 1 is Herb's Choice, which is road-going sports cars. So I have to assume that's like MGs and midgets and sprites and Spitfires and that kind of thing.
That sounds reasonable.
Probably also like Lotus 7s and stuff like that. Duncan's Dilemma is Group 2. And it says Duncan is Duncan Rabagalotti, the chairman of the FJ Historic Racing Association, which is Formula Juniors. Okay. So Duncan's Dilemma is front engine and drum braked Formula Juniors. So the really old style, almost like 60s looking F1 cars.
Okay.
Not actually F1 cars, but they look like 60s F1 cars.
They're open-wheeled cars from the
exactly.
60s.
Group 3 is called Tin Top Dreams. Splendid sedans, it says.
That's usually like 510s.
How many is 510s, Alpha GTVs,
yep.
and the ilk. Group 4, Eric's Delight. Eric is Eric Bradley, the founder of Lola Cars. That's single-minded sports racing cars. I don't know what that means.
Maybe, well, obviously it must be Lola's, like Lola
so
chassis.
Like a dedicated, full-bodied sports car that's made for racing.
Yeah, like not a road-going car, probably a chassis you'd buy just to go racing.
Okay. Group 5,
maybe like Chaparrals or something.
Skip's Nightmares.
Yeah.
Which is Skip being Skip Barber, because he's the president of Lime Rock.
Yep.
That's Grand Touring Miscellany. So that's probably whatever larger sedans and coupes.
Probably big displacement stuff.
Yeah, they don't fit in with the 510s and Alphas and whatnot.
Probably Corvettes, bigger.
Yeah, Mustangs, Corvettes,
even
American stuff. Maybe
over 3
big, like E9 BMW coupes and stuff like that.
Yeah, you might have 3-liter Porsches.
Yeah, possibly. Next class, Group 6, is Collins Apotheosis, which is rear-engined Formula Juniors. And Colin is Colin Chapman.
Okay.
The founder of Lotus Cars. Group 7, Mostly Real Vintage, a first half-century collection. So I'm guessing that means like pre-war stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Which is always fun to watch.
Yep.
They're not very fast, but there's a lot going on.
They mix it in though. You get pre-war, like pre-World War I, and they mix it in with up to pre-war World War II. So
yes, pre both wars.
Yes.
The next one is Group 8, which is Formula Very Libra. That just says a Fast and Furious mix.
Okay.
I don't know what that would be.
Might be a catch-all?
Yeah, kind of a catch-all class for anything else doesn't fit anywhere else. And same with Group 9, called Kent's Domain. And Kent is for Kent Bain, a noted restorer and vintage racer.
Yeah.
And that class just says not quite street legal. So I'm guessing that's probably sedan-based cars as well that are borderline street cars.
No Trans Am this year, but that's okay.
There is no Trans Am this year, no.
They kind of they alternate.
Yeah. And like you said before, they were just running at Monterey last weekend, so
yeah,
a lot of them don't make it cross country
track. Yeah, we'll probably have a better idea once we get a program when we're there.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'll have like a rundown of who the drivers are and what the car numbers are. So
unfortunately,
cool.
that's the best information I have. Racing starts, practice starts 10 a.m. on Friday.
Yep.
And that goes, practice and qualifying goes through 6 o'clock on Friday. And then the racing starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday, so hopefully we'll be there for that.
It basically doesn't matter. Just show up if you're a fan of vintage race cars.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the cars go around the track, period.
You can
whether they're qualifying or racing.
You can walk all through the paddock. They have 2 paddocks. They've got like a swap meet area intermixed with that stuff. I found some cool Hot Wheels. The guy had a whole like Hot Wheels setup.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool collectibles there usually.
Yeah, they've got this nice grassy area. You can picnic. There's like ice cream, plenty of food.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff for kids to do too. If you have kids and want to bring them, they won't be bored because they have like a video game session and they have like a bounce house and they have old race cars they can actually go inside of. And so they have a lot of stuff for the kids too.
And there's like, what was I going to say? Nope, now I blanked. Gone.
Excellent. It's
a
good time.
It is a good time. There's car corrals. So if you knew ahead of time, you could look at the car corrals and buy a ticket so you could park in the infield.
Yep, and car corral not in the traditional car show, like car corral meaning the cars are for sale, but they call it the car corral because if you go with the Porsches, you can park at the Porsches. If you go with a Ferrari, you can park at the Ferraris.
Pretty sure. I know for sure they have a Porsche one. They always do.
They have a Lotus, a Porsche,
probably a Corvette
MG,
one,
a BMW, a Corvette, a Mustang. There's a European motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then there's like a catch-all for Japanese cars. And there's a few others as well, but those are the.
I didn't bother with that this year because Lime Rock is so tiny that even if you park on the outfield, it's a 2-minute walk to get to the infield. Yeah. Plus, you get to walk over the bridge that they race under,
which is cool.
Yes.
So that's a quick preview of Lime Rock, which is this weekend.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything to do, absolutely go down there.
Yep. and we'll be walking around. They have pretty good service there. LTE.
Yeah, service.
They didn't in the past. They recently, last couple of years. So if you message us, I'm sure we'll be looking at our phones. We'll try to find you and give you stickers. I'll have stickers on me.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
That's a fun way to give out stickers.
So we got Black River Stages. We got Lime Rock.
Yep. And we're going to try to do a podcast again in the car on the way there. I thought that worked out pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
We can do a little bit in the car, then maybe a little bit at lunch break or something.
All right. I'm going to crack this beer, Andrew.
Okay. Yeah. What's the story with this beer?
This is a Treehouse.
Isn't it the Arch Monument? Is that what that's called?
Yeah. Though, and I didn't look into that, but I'm not as big into that kind of stuff. You can look that up.
Well, it's like where
a
lot of photographers go.
Yes. Like Arch National Park or something. Anyway, it's a Treehouse beer. It's a local brewery in Charlton, Mass. Mm-hmm. And they only can so much beer.
Yeah.
And then they announce on their website when it's going to be available. And then you go there and you wait in a long, ridiculous line to buy the beer.
It's the Arches National Park in Utah.
Yes. So this is my first experience with going to Treehouse to get beer. I've had a few different Treehouse beers in the past. But a friend of the podcast decided that they wanted to go this past weekend because they had the special IPA release, which is number 40, and they number each one of them, and they have cool little artwork on them.
Yeah.
And we got there, and being a Saturday release beer,
everybody was there.
2.5 hour line to get beer.
Whew.
And then you're only allowed to buy 9 cans.
Oh, boy.
And then...
Per person?
Per person, yes.
All right, not bad.
And then the person that was behind... we thought for sure we weren't going to get any.
Yeah.
Because they only make so much of it, and then when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
We were the second to last people to get beer.
Whoa.
After waiting in line for 2.5 hours.
Got lucky.
We definitely got lucky. So you're going to get to try some of this wonderful number 40 IPA, which is supposedly really good, but I haven't had any yet myself because this is the first one I've cracked. Because I didn't want to drink it alone by myself. I wanted to make sure I could share the experience with somebody. And our audience as well, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not huge into IPAs.
You'll be huge into this.
Yeah. Is it... I guess I'm into the, really good ones.
You're into really good IPAs, which this is a really good IPA. I'm sure it's going to be very fruity.
Yeah.
I can smell it already, actually.
Yeah.
So we're turning this into a beer podcast.
So what?
Anyway, so there is your beer, Andrew.
All right. Thank you. Oh, it's nice and cloudy.
It's very cloudy.
I like that.
It's unfiltered. There was a whole history behind it that I was going to print out and bring down so I could tell you, but I don't remember it.
Is that what Treehouse does? They no filter stuff?
They have all kinds of different things they do. But yes, they do have unfiltered stuff as well as filtered stuff. So it's probably pretty tasty.
Smells hoppy. Ooh, but it's sweet.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of their IPAs.
And then it's a little tart with the hoppiness at the end. Oh, I like that.
I figured you would. I'm not sure if it was worth 2.5 hours. Yes, it was. It's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, our friend, we have another friend who was confused that I was into IPAs because I was like, well, I only like really good ones. I don't like the ones that are just bitter for the sake of being bitter.
Right. Like a flavorful IPA.
But I really like Heady Topper. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the smoothest IPAs I've ever had, and it's why people go so nuts for it.
I feel this is smoother than that.
This is probably smoother than that, yeah.
In fact, there's probably some people who are beer nerds listening to this right now saying, oh my God, you know Treehouse 40. But,
this is like a little...
took some dedication.
It's got a little more sweetness to it, I think, than the just the Heady Topper. So
it's delicious.
It's good.
Anyway, yeah, if you're an IPA fan, look up Treehouse because they make some really delicious IPAs. Mm-hmm. They're really hard to get. It's $5 a can, so it's a little on the pricey side, and they only make it once, and then they never make it again. They make something else. So at least with the numbered series. They have a few they make over and over again, but it's delicious. Anyway, project car updates, Andrew. What do you got? Anything?
Nothing since the last podcast.
Yeah, I haven't done anything either. I've just gotten my vehicle just dirty, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to wash my cars. I haven't had a chance to.
Mine's still covered in mud from New Jersey. Oops.
Oh,
so
well.
we did ask questions on the Facebook and the Instagram tonight. So I think we can just probably jump right into questions.
Sure.
You want to start with the Facebook questions, or would you like me to because I have a computer in front of me?
Why don't you do that because it's easier for you to read them because my tablet decided not to work.
Question number 1. comes from Every Time Question Asker, which we appreciate, Jeremy Nutt. One lesson that I've learned when it comes to project cars is that it is better to have a crappy drivable car than a dead car apart in your yard. What are some life lessons you guys have when starting a major automotive project?
You want to go first? Do you want me to?
No, I think you can go first on this one.
I like to have at least. I mean, most people will have a vision in their head of the way you want the car to come out, so that's good. I mean, that's like the easy part, right? You've found your project car that you want. You have a vision in your head of how you want it to complete it. So then I like to assess the vehicle and see what it needs. So I'm going to go through it, and I mean, it depends on the level of what it needs. So like, let's do the Galant. So the Galant we bought, or you looked at it with me when I bought it.
Right.
It was a total roller. Like,
yeah.
But it had a complete interior, basically, minus a few minor trim pieces. No engine, no transmission.
And no rust.
Everything else was there. So it was like, all right, cool. We get it home. Then you start making the list of all the stuff that you need. You got to start sourcing an engine. You got to start sourcing a transmission. So assess the vehicle. Then start to make a list of what it needs. Start with the most important stuff, which is usually like if it needs rust repair, body work, stuff that would make it safe, I would start there. Obviously, if it needs an engine
you would
and
start
a transmission,
with rust repair and body work?
Yeah. Well, you can kind of do the stuff at the same time, but right? So if you need to rebuild the engine, you can pull the engine out, have it on a stand, be rebuilding the engine, and then switch between working on engine stuff to doing like body repair or suspension stuff.
Okay.
This is the way I do it.
Yeah,
Well, I had the engine out of that car. It needed wiring repair, so I went through the wiring because it was easily accessible without the engine there, and it was easy to figure out how to put the harness back together.
There was a lot more room to work. You'd stand in the engine bay and lay things out.
Yeah, and I could basically I would look through the car, make a list, and then spend, hours at night cruising forums, cruising eBay, looking for the extra parts that I needed to complete it. And I basically tried to, it depends on the vehicle. Some vehicles you can get all brand new parts, and that's super easy. Other vehicles, parts availability, as far as new stuff, is not really there. So you got to cruise forums, you got to cruise eBay, you got to look for the used stuff. I typically like to find used OEM stuff when I can and restore it or clean it up and reuse it that way. That's kind of the way I like to do it.
Yeah. OEM is always going to be better than aftermarket.
Yep.
So.
I mean, it depends. If it's just like if I need new control arms and new ball joints, obviously I can't buy used ones. No. That kind of defeats the purpose. But you know what I mean? Like if I'd rather find, say, an original set of heads for a car than like, recreations from like overseas, because sometimes they're better.
Yeah, well, we ran into this problem with the Raider.
Yeah.
One of the options that I always had for fixing the head was to buy a Chinese copy of the cylinder head, and I always said no, thinking it'd make my life easier, but maybe it didn't.
Now, finally, one of the most important things is when I'm working on a project vehicle, I do one at a time. So I try not to have project
Andrew's holding
ADD.
A laugh right now because he's looking at me, smirking the fact that I have 100 of them.
So you try to pick one car that you're going to work on, and you finish it till it's complete and running. It'd be hard for some people. It takes a lot of discipline, but it's the best way to do it. Now, that being said, I do have the 99 Montero, but that didn't need much. It
wasn't really a project car.
It wasn't. It's a project car because it's ongoing, and I do little things to it. It had a bunch of details that needed to be polished up, and I've done those little details and driven it at the same time.
Yeah, it wasn't a taken apart car. You had two dead cars in the yard.
Incrementally gotten better. My Talon has been sitting for many years. I need to get back to it, and that just needs to be revived.
As I sit here on my high horse telling you to get back to your project and have a ton of them myself.
there may be another project vehicle entering. I'll know more on that in the coming weeks and months. That is a non-runner, and it's far away, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun story if it does actually work out. So
I think it will. So I think that's my best advice for doing long-term vehicle projects is make a list, have goals. Even if you work on a vehicle, time is always a problem. Even if you do one thing every night, you can break away from your family. You've got a little time after you put the kids to bed or whatever you do, after you have dinner with your family, spend time with your family, and then you've got maybe a couple hours. Instead of watching TV, go out in the garage, run some wires.
Be productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that.
That helps if you have a garage.
It does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Having a workspace definitely helps.
I disagree with one thing that you said.
Okay.
But I think the reason you said it, you said that you do body work before mechanical work.
You can kind of do them at the same time.
Well, I think the reason you're saying that is because you've never done like a full
no, I haven't.
restoration.
No, that's true.
And I think what you're talking about is like when you were doing like the engine bay in the White Galant.
Yeah.
Like you took care of all the stuff in the engine bay before you put the engine back in, which makes sense.
Yes.
My thing is the kinds of cars that I generally buy usually have flaws as far as bodywork and paint goes, but I live with it and I make the car drivable first. Because you never know what you're going to be dealing with as far as drivability issues until you start driving the car.
Okay.
So if I spent, X amount of dollars making the body on, say, the blue 78 Colt perfect, I would be super frustrated now when I have like my overheating issues.
Okay.
Because every time I'd go to work on it, I'd be afraid I'd be scratching a fender or whatever, and I would just be annoyed that I spent all that time on the pretty stuff and didn't spend any time making it reliable first. Same thing goes with the Raider. If I bought that, got it running, and was like, all right, now I'm going to send it out and fix a little bit of rust in the rear quarter panels, I'd be annoyed now that it had a perfect, restored, rust-free body and was still breaking all the time. This is a lesson I learned back in my Talon days.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do with the Talon. I bought the Talon, drove it for like a month, and then sent it out to a body shop to have a professional paint job done.
Okay.
And then the motor let go. And then something else let go. And then the transmission let go. So it was like I was young and dumb and wanted a pretty car, and I spent all this money making it pretty. And then I didn't have any money left over to make it reliable. So I think because of that car, I've always gone the opposite direction. Make it run good first. Then you can kind of go through the rest of the car as you see. Now, if you're doing a full-on like restoration job, it might be a different story. Where you're rebuilding every component to the car. Then I guess it doesn't really matter. Then you get the bodywork out of the way first, and you rebuild each individual component, say a rear differential or a front suspension assembly or an engine, and make them pretty and put them in the new pretty body shell. That's a whole different story, but I think most of our listeners don't do full like frame off restorations. They do the rolling restoration or sympathetic restoration.
The driving restoration.
Yeah, exactly.
One important thing to remember, if you're going to have a car apart for the better part of a year, putting it back together, and you just purchase this vehicle, make sure the paperwork is squared away for the car.
Yes.
So that when you go to finally put this thing on the road, you can actually put it on the road.
Yes.
And every state's different.
That's a valid point.
In our state, there's a thing with titles. You can have the person sign them, and they get dated when you purchase the vehicle.
Legally, we can't tell you not to date the title, because legally you have to date it when you purchase the car.
You should date it, but be aware that from that date, you will be assessed back sales tax.
Right. Now,
until it's registered.
Correct. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to tell you to date it, because I generally don't date a title when I buy a car, because usually they don't run when I buy them. So I won't title the car. I'll leave the date blank so I could fill it in later on.
Now, nobody's cheating the state out of sales tax.
No, because they already get sales tax in the car.
They get sales tax when the car is sold.
Yeah, every time the car is sold. Welcome to Massachusetts.
Personally, I think it's unfair that you would charge interest if I sat in the car for 6 months before I registered it.
Yes, well, it's not interest on the sales tax they charge. It's more the excise tax, isn't it?
No, it's interest on the sales tax.
Oh, it's annoying.
Yeah. That's not fair. You can't charge excise tax because the car is not registered and being driven on the road. Excise tax, Massachusetts pays for road repair.
Quote unquote.
Yes. Yeah. So, regardless, that's Massachusetts.
Well, look
at your local laws.
Here's the worst part about Massachusetts, because when you register a car, you pay sales tax on it. You don't pay sales tax on it based on your purchase price.
You used to.
You don't anymore.
People were being dumb about that, and I understand why they changed it.
You pay sales tax based on the value of the car.
Yes.
Now, the other problem I have with this...
We buy cheap cars, so we don't pay much.
You think that, but the other problem I have with that now is if a used car is sold in Massachusetts 7 times.
Yes.
Now Massachusetts gets sales tax on that car 7 times.
But it's not like 7 times right in a row.
It could be. You never know.
Theoretically, yeah. But
it really burns me to buy a 40-year-old car that, has already paid all its sales tax and have to pay sales tax on it again.
No, I'm fine with that. That's not...
Yeah, it just bothers me.
It stinks when you buy it out of state.
And it also bothers me because they do it on book value. So, I had a friend that tried to register a 68 Mustang.
Yes.
And it was a project car. Yeah. He paid $2,500 for it.
It's not...
But they assessed the value at the time of sales tax.
The collector...
Of the collector value, and they charged him sales tax on $17,000.
Yeah, they got wise to that a few years ago. They started doing collector value on old vehicles.
Yeah. So now he owed almost what he paid for the car in sales tax registered.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Yep. So Massachusetts has some weird laws, and I don't like Massachusetts as far as owning a car here.
Yeah.
They make it a little difficult.
It's kind of a pain. And the other thing, too, is if you buy a vehicle from a state we're buying older cars, 20 years old plus,
right?
That states basically all around Massachusetts, at least New Hampshire and Maine.
New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, and Vermont. None of them title
vehicles
older than 19 years.
Yeah. So it's super annoying because you bring it to the registry and you're like, well, here, even with proof of last registration and the owner signing it, they still give you crap.
Give a hard time, yeah.
And you're like, come on, just charge me all your fees. I'm willing to pay them.
Yep.
And let me register my car. Well,
I had a difficult time because I have that 1971 NSU.
Yes, they thought it was a motorcycle, right?
Well, that was the end. That was the end battle. But it took 3 days to register it.
And you had the original owner's title from 1971.
From Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It was a Massachusetts title, and I went to register the car, and they were like, we don't know what to do with this. And I was like, you just
title it
with a new title with the same numbers as the old one. The VIN number's right there. Well, it doesn't have enough digits in the VIN. I'm like, yeah, because it's a 71. It's an antique. Oh, well, we don't know what to charge you for sales tax. I was like, well, why don't you charge me based on my bill of sale? If there's no book value on a 1971 NSU...
Yeah, use your brain.
I have a bill of sale. Charge me based on what I paid for the car. Well, we can't do that. Well, that's legally how it works. Like if I go to Walmart and something's on sale, I pay taxes on the sale price. So
you pay tax on full price.
Right. This is my actual price I paid for the car. I am willing to pay you at the time 5% sales tax based on that number. Yeah. And well, we have to clear that with the registrar first. I was like, I just want to register this car. I have a title. I have all the paperwork. Everything is legal. And then the whole thing is all said and done. And they issue me a new title, and it's a motorcycle title and a motorcycle license plate. And I look at the lady, and I go, what is this? And she goes, well, it's your plate and title. I'm like, it's not a motorcycle. She goes, yes, it is. And I said, okay, why is it a motorcycle? She goes, oh, because the 1200 is the model. And I was like, no, this is a really small car with a motorcycle-sized engine, and it's a car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to do the paperwork again. And I'm like, so day 3, I finally got the car registered. But it was just like, I went in there with the title. The title says 2-door, 4-passenger, 4-cylinder. Yet they still somehow turned it into a motorcycle during the registry process, registration process.
What was the next question?
Anyway, yeah, so went off a little bit in that one. Frank Eck. I'm a little confused by this question. I think I'm going to figure it out for you here.
All right.
He says, do the Triple Diamond cars have the same upgrade capabilities using later model parts like the trucks, such as brakes, steering, suspension, and interior? Maybe a tech show with those kinds of upgrades. So my guess is Frank doesn't know much about anything other than the Monteros and D50 Mighty Maxes.
So on like a first-gen truck, you can take parts from my second-gen because it's basically the same chassis with upgraded suspension, and you can back swap it and whatever you want to do. And that works that way. But yes, to a degree.
I think the car's even more so.
Yeah, you can definitely put between first and second gen Eclipses. There are some brake parts will work. There's certain you actually on a second gen you actually take the older engine combination.
Correct. So it has the 7-volt main versus the 6-volt main.
Yep. There's some you can.
This is on DSMs we're talking.
This is on DSM, so Eclipses. You can take Evo brakes, and people have made brackets, or there's different knuckle swaps. I know Alex with the Pleasure Evo is currently doing a Evo 5 conversion to his front knuckles, so he can run some different type of ball joints. Different. He can run bolt-in wheel bearings, so you can do wheel bearing swaps at the track if he needs to.
That's a good.
He's got
upgrade.
Yeah, he'd already had the car, I believe, converted to 5-lug, but it just makes it easier. He can now run Evo 5 Brembos or larger Brembos from a later Evo because it's more standardized. Mm-hmm. And then there was something else with the knuckle width change on like the ear where the strut mounts. So it's easier to mount later suspension from an Evo, which is better than the early stuff. So yes, there is stuff.
And even stuff as far back as like my Colts and, the 70 stuff. A lot of the engine stuff is swappable. I mean, not like direct bolt-in, but almost direct bolt-in, like a 4G63.
Yeah, they didn't change the engine mounts, like we learned from Josh.
Like similar, yeah, engine mounts are very similar, and even the bolt patterns on the bell housings, depending on there's two different ones, and you can get the right combination to make it work with all factory parts.
And a 5-lug Mitsubishi has the same hub bore through all of them.
Even the 4-lug one's the same, aren't they?
The 4-lug, yeah, they're all the same hub bore. So it's 67.1.
So 67.1, yeah.
Is the hub bore. So even if you've got 4 on 114.3, the hub bore will be the same as a 5 on 114.3.
Right. So you change.
And the same on a 4 on 100s. So, yeah, there's definitely a bunch of stuff. If you know the product, then yes, you can swap parts.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. There's that engine swap guide at project0g.com, which is all like Mitsubishi engine swap compatibilities.
Yes.
So that goes through a lot of information, a lot of technical information on there. I think we could actually have Jeremy back sometime because he knows better about this stuff than we do, and have a whole show discussing what motors swap into what Mitsubishis.
Yeah, we should. That'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Dan Downey. As a fellow multi-car
Now, this one
owner,
had me a little confused.
We'll talk through this one. More reliable daily, or cheaper car you can fit in 10 minutes.
I think it's fixed in 10 minutes.
Okay, fixed. Yep, fixed in 10 minutes if needed.
Yep.
Balance reliability with a newer car and money for fun with the risk of cheaper cars. So he's saying it's more important to have a cheaper car that is more risky as far as reliability goes, but you have more money to play with it? Or is it better to have a reliable daily that costs more and you can't spend as much money playing with it?
Okay. All right.
I mean, this question is quite obvious to us.
I've done both.
Yeah, and we're always going to go with older now.
Yeah, I don't like...
I don't like paying for things.
No, car payments aren't fun. If you can avoid them. I mean, great. If you can have a brand new car and you can afford to do it, absolutely do it.
It all depends on the person. There's some people that just don't like wrenching.
Some people like having a warranty. Some people just like driving a stock car.
Again, I don't think many of our regular listeners.
No, I just bought a new car, which is newish. It's still 13 years old, but it
feels like a brand new car.
It feels like a brand new car.
Years old.
Yeah, it's not 27
exactly.
So, but that is probably, I'd like to say 05 is like as new as I like to go on cars. As far as like a car that I can fix myself and have a lot of fun with.
With the caveat of I do like Evos. Like 95 is pretty much my cutoff because I don't like dealing with OBD2.
OBD2 is easy.
I know. I just don't know it. I know crappy old carburetors.
You plug the code reader in, and tells you.
And what Dan Downey is referring to is he actually just picked up a BMW 2002.
Yes.
So he's been doing the carb dance all week, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how many goats he's sacrificed so far. I'm not sure if the car's running yet.
It is running.
Okay.
So at least 3 goats have been sacrificed.
All right.
But congratulations, Dan. That car is awesome, and I can't wait to see it.
He's clearly becoming a BMW addict.
Yes. Which is what was that book, or the Jalopnik article about the guy that lost everything because he hoarded BMWs? Yeah. Wound up pretty much in jail or whatever.
Yeah.
Next question is from Kevin Bates. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite Mitsubishi racing livery from any series? Apologies if this was asked before. It was not.
It may have been, but I don't remember.
I don't think it was. Favorite Mitsubishi livery?
I like the Camel cars and the Galant VR4, the rally cars. It's like all super yellow. Rare. Yeah, it's all yellow with the blue camel stuff.
Like the traditional rally art, red, gray, and black.
Yeah, I like that too, but the camel ones are kind of, you don't see pictures of those cars very often. Like, I don't know how often they ran them, but it's classic Marlboro.
I'm going to say my favorite is the traditional red, silver, and black rally art style. But secondary, they did do a Advan Galant VR4 rally car.
Oh, yeah.
Which the Advan, like black and red, like stripe scheme is really good looking.
They did that on a Starion too.
They did do it on a Starion too.
That's a good one.
That's a really good looking combination. And an era appropriate one, there was in the early 80s, there was a Mr. Earl's fittings.
Yeah.
Did a yellow and black flat body Starion that used to run in like the SCCA series.
Okay.
So it'd be black sides and it had a yellow hood and up over the roof was yellow.
Okay.
And that was kind of cool looking too.
All right. Oh, you know what I do like is the we'll call it Mitsubishi, but the Archer Talons, the golden, it's like the yellow black.
The second gen ones?
Second gen?
Yeah.
With the eagle, like.
That was a cool livery.
Transfer? Yeah, that's a cool one.
Not my favorite Mitsubishi being second gen, but.
No, but that's a cool one.
A cool looking livery. We've now successfully named every Mitsubishi livery, I think.
A lot of them are red, white, and black. Like, it was
the standard classic rally art design.
It was like rally art, and then they picked it up from Marlboro, so.
Yep, and even the Galant VR4 rally cars were close, but they replaced like the black with a blue.
Yeah, or a green, and there was like a yellow one.
But it was the same basic paint scheme. The same.
There's some alternate ones of the Montero and Dakar.
Okay.
Versus like the traditional Nikon one you see, but there's like some alternate ones, and I can't remember what they are.
There was on the third gen one, there was a black and white.
There was like a red and yellow.
There was a black and white. There was a blue and white, which was...
Oh my God. We're missing the best one. No, I take it back. The best one is the Puma car, the 3000 GT Puma. That was green.
Wasn't that the race mod in Gran Turismo 1?
Yes, but it was a real car.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was a Japanese Grand Tourer JGTC.
That's my favorite one.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
Absolutely.
A pretty good one. I'm going to stick with the traditional rally art stripe package.
Yeah.
Followed closely by the Advan.
Okay.
So, moving on to Instagram.
Sure.
Question number 1. Photo mob. Photo_mob_.
Yep.
What is your favorite factory seat?
All right. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to go obscure.
I know what you're going to say.
No, you don't. Obscure. Okay. I'm going to go way obscure. What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Evo 8, Recaro.
That's a nice seat.
It's a very nice factory seat.
Yeah, it's a very nice factory. I wouldn't consider that a factory seat, though, because it's like an aftermarket seat in a factory application.
Yeah, but it came from factory.
I'm going to go obscure. I had a friend, like right after high school years, that picked up a really nice condition 86 Thunderbird.
Okay.
It was a Thunderbird Fila edition.
Really?
Yes.
We've gone from Puma to Fila.
Yes.
Anything else? Is there an Adidas one?
I've never heard of an Adidas edition, no, but it was a Fila edition Thunderbird. It was a light metallic blue with a light blue velour style interior. And it had these really deep buckets in the front. And the buckets had air bladders.
All right.
And used to pump up the air bladders to pump up the lumbar support.
Yep.
And the bolsters to keep you in place in the seats. And they looked almost like what the doctor uses for your blood pressure. Yeah. It was the same style air bladder.
Those Corbos I have out in the garage.
Right.
The driver's one's got a little air bladder pump. And I think you get them on Mustangs, too.
Probably because this was a Thunderbird, so it could have been the same.
Fox bodies.
That was my favorite factory seat just because it was dumb and fun. and it was, like the Reebok pump, but in a seat, and a Fila, not Reebok. So that would be my favorite factory seat, just because I remember that car specifically.
I like first gen. Well, there's only 2 generations here. So first gen G20 touring seats.
Those are nice.
Super, super deep bucket. Car came with a 5-speed SR20 front-wheel drive. Really fun cars.
Yeah, I would like to find one of those as a daily, but they don't exist around here anymore.
Not here. They rusted away. Maybe out west.
Yeah, those are pretty nice.
Probably find one kicking around Phoenix or something for like stupid cheap. Because they're basically just a B13 Sentra that looks a little nicer, I think.
They're a bigger car.
They're bigger cars, slightly
bigger.
It's a
platform.
Premier, but I think they're a cool car.
Yep, they're a very cool car. And we learned about those from Gran Turismo as well, actually.
Yes.
And then both of us in that era built the Tamiya model.
Yep.
You built the Celsonic one, and I built the Castrol.
And then I was working as a lot kid at the Infinity dealer, and I got those cars were only 10 years old, so people were still bringing them to the dealer at the
Trading
time.
them in, probably.
Yeah, and so I drove quite a few around. Actually, I learned how to drive standard on those customer cars.
We won't tell the customer. Stuntnuts 4130 says, you find out that the factory has in stock one of every part required to build a brand new version of any car of your choosing from scratch. Any car, any model year, money, no object. What would your 2018 model year anything be?
So continuation car.
Yes. Miata, Mazda's kind of doing this with the Miata. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
They're restoring them from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Datsun did with the 240Z back in the
that's a tough call.
early 2000s.
What on earth would I get new?
I know what I would get.
What's that?
I'd build a brand new 1969 Camaro Z28.
Okay.
I've always liked the Z28 because it was kind of the underdog as far as in this country, because everybody bought one of the big block drag cars.
Yep.
And the Z28 could be had with the Cross Ram, and Cross Ram carburetor manifold and the 302 and the 4-speed, and big heavy duty sway bars, and I just think it's a cool car.
I'm going to go a little more exotic and upmarket. Original GT40.
Okay. See, I was trying to stay out of the exotic realm. I know money is no object as part of the question, but I didn't want to do the...
That would be a car that if I could go back in time and own in period, oh my God, that'd be so cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
Actually, in period, they weren't worth very much either.
Nope.
Much like old race cars back then just got thrown away, so...
But I can't imagine, I don't know, going to a local Ford dealer. Did you, order them? How did you get those back then?
I have no idea. I don't think you could buy them, could you?
They had street cars. So how did you get them?
I don't know. Maybe you awarded them for racing with them?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know, but similarly at the same time, you could buy a Pantera, so...
Yeah.
Right afterwards, which is also a good choice for that brand new Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 69 Z28 with the Cross Ram manifold and a 4-speed and the chambered exhaust, I think would be pretty amazing. Probably, looking back, I probably wouldn't have ordered an orange one brand new.
No.
And I don't want to say green because my 68 Camaro was green, but probably a white.
Yeah, white.
Yeah.
With black stripes?
White with black stripes and the black interior with the black and white houndstooth.
And those had that cross ram intake, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they had the 2 4-barrels that were diagonally across from each other.
You want that Trans Am style.
Exactly. Most of them didn't have that. Most of them just had a standard, I don't know if it was a 4-barrel or a quadra-jet style. I don't know what it was specifically, but...
The 4-speed Rock Crusher.
Yeah, I think the M21 came in those as well.
Yeah.
Which is the same that my car has, but my car has a 350 convertible. But.
Yeah, but you'd get front discs and which your car has.
My car has. But it would just be the coupe platform, and like I said, they had different sway bars, and they just had heavy duty suspension, and they were just a handling car, and I really like that car.
Yeah, they were built for Trans Am.
Yeah, and I don't often talk about selling my Camaro, but I would definitely get rid of my Camaro for a 69 Z28, just because they're awesome. All right, Yeti Overland says Raider or Montero.
I don't know.
I'm going to say Montero just for argument's sake.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have to explain the story every time.
Yeah.
People are like, what's a Raider? And I'm like, well, it's really a Montero. But at the end of the production line, they decided to put Dodge badges on it and sell it at a Dodge dealer instead.
Yep.
So
explaining captive imports to someone.
Yes, which is like my life.
What is this weird boxy SUV you have? Is that a Land Rover? You're like, no, it's a Raider. They're like, who makes that?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, Dodge. They're like, they made that?
Right. No, not really. And the same thing, and I actually have this question, which I actually was going to pose on the Colt forum the other day, is when somebody asks you what your car is, do you explain to them the whole story about it being a Dodge Colt? Or you just say it's a Mitsubishi Colt?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they walk around the car and like, it says Dodge on the hood.
Huh.
So I just have that whole thing, like my life is explaining to people what these cars
Sometimes
really are.
When I'd be out in the town, people would be like, oh, it's an Eclipse. I go, yeah, it's an Eclipse. Like, I just...
Yeah, you got to go along with it. But if somebody asked you what it was, you say it's a Talon.
Yeah, I guess.
But I feel the Talon is new enough that more people get it, whereas the Colt is from an era when people didn't know Mitsubishi even existed.
That's true.
Which we know it did because this is the 100th anniversary of Mitsubishi building cars this year. So anyway, the Orphan also says, would anybody like to go and fix my rear differential? No, sorry.
No, so apparently he's got an issue with his rear differential, but I checked with him. It's under warranty. I was like, well, if it's under warranty, just have it fixed.
Yeah. Is he local to us?
No.
Okay.
No, but he's out on this huge, if you follow him on Instagram, he's on this long trip.
Okay.
Like he's from out west and he headed east for a long trip.
Okay. So he's doing the opposite of our friend Jordan.
Opposite of our friend Jordan. So it was making a noise. They pulled the fluid, and on the magnet there was a bunch of metal, and I was like, that didn't look that bad to me, but if it's making noise...
It's a brand new car, too.
Yeah,
so.
I would... Yeah, if it's under warranty, have it fixed.
Our friend on his West Coast trip actually just had an axle boot rip.
Yes.
So he
had it replaced
now. BizPiz, we already talked about this one.
Yes, I put that right at the top so we didn't forget.
Black River Stages. Going Nowhere Slow 70. This is an interesting one, which I like. Looking at getting into an old Jeep, CJ5 or older, what do I need to know? I live over an hour away from trails, so it needs to be freeway capable. I don't want to do any crazy crawling, just trails.
I'm trying. What is the CJ5 versus...
CJ7 is the one that came right before the 87 Wrangler. So it looks almost... The body tub looks almost like a first-gen Wrangler. CJ5 is going to have smaller doors, maybe a little narrower.
Round headlights?
They're all round headlights pre-87.
So CJ5, 87 is the square ones, like your dad's old one.
87 is the first year of the square Jeep.
Okay.
That'd be a TJ, I think.
Okay.
CJ7 was one before that. The body tub of a CJ7 was very similar to a Wrangler. In fact, you'll see a lot of guys do like a 87, 88, 89 Wrangler with a CJ7 nose, the round headlight nose on it. Because it almost directly bolts on.
I know so little about Jeeps.
CJ5 came right before that.
Okay.
If you think back to like Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
Daisy Duke drove a CJ5.
All right. So it
has a slightly smaller door. Doesn't have like the early style CJ3, CJ4 real round door cutout.
Yeah.
It's a slightly smaller door. It's a little more, I guess.
We're talking like Scout generation.
It's a little more utilitarian.
Bronco generation.
Yeah, it was still like a lot more utilitarian than a later one was. What I'm going to recommend.
You can small block swap those, right?
You could. Actually, a lot of them came with a 304, which is an AMC V8.
So these were when they were built by AMC.
Up until 87, they were built by AMC.
Okay.
So
I can get behind that.
Yeah. I'm trying to find. Okay, what I'm going to recommend that you buy.
Yeah.
Because you want to do freeway driving, and you're listening to a Mitsubishi podcast, is you need to get a Mitsubishi Jeep.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
They came turbo diesel.
All right.
With 5 speeds.
Okay.
So they get really good gas mileage.
But they're right-hand drive.
They are right-hand drive.
All right.
But that's not, if that's a thing, then maybe
but
not.
They're basically, they were
CJ3s.
They're licensed copies of Jeeps.
Correct.
Built in Japan.
Correct.
With Mitsubishi power plants.
Correct.
So theoretically,
in 1953.
Hear me out. You could take the drivetrain from one of these, with the turbo diesel and the 5-speed, swap it into a Jeep.
You could.
That might be kind of cool.
You could. In 1953, they got the rights to build the Willys.
Yep.
And they made them until 1998.
Okay.
With the same body style. So they weren't CJ5s, they're CJ3s. But if Going Nowhere Slow 70 wants to point his web browser to Paladin Trucks. We'll give them a free plug right here.
Paladin
He's a cool
Trucks,
guy.
yep.
Yeah. Paladin trucks.com. He is an importer of Mitsubishi Jeeps. And he usually has 5 or 6 of them in stock. He's in, I think, South Carolina or Georgia, North Carolina, somewhere in the
Carolinas,
somewhere in the southeast of the United States. And he has tons of them in stock, and he has tons of parts in stock, and he's the go-to guy. I think they're very cool. I think that they're probably better on highway than a 4-speed 401 or early. I don't remember the engine sizes for Jeeps back in that era. So yeah, Paladin Trucks. Look at the CJ3 diesel Jeeps.
All right.
So that's my go.
Question.
I don't know if is Go North Slow 70 near us. I'm not quite sure.
Anyway, I'll read the next one.
Yeah.
So, Ditch Rickson, because of LS engine I put in my Mustang. So he's local to us. He's a friend of ours.
Yep.
Actually went to high school with him. A lot of debates have transpired around my car at the track, on Facebook, Instagram, Dunkin' Donuts, etc.
Duncan's kid.
Yeah. It just seems to be very controversial. So he has a early Fox body.
It's a 4-eyed Fox body.
With an LS swap, which I think is like rad as hell.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. It's also orange, which makes it even cooler, like a metallic sunburst orange.
Being the opinionated fellows, Brad, I know you guys have both said you like LS swap stuff, but where do you draw the line?
I don't think there is a line.
There isn't.
The only thing I think the line involves is if you're building something that, okay, there is a line.
All right.
So a purist kind of vehicle. Like if you're building like a genuine Shelby Mustang, you don't put an LS in it. If you're restoring a genuine Ford Cobra, you don't put an LS in it.
That's it.
But as far as that goes,
everything else, if you don't care, you just want a reliable power plant, put an LS.
If you have $3,000 and want power, there's no easier way to do it.
A little more than that.
Well, no, you can buy I'm talking about a 5.3 at Iron Block.
Within hopefully the next 2 years, I'd like to LS swap something.
I really want a 3rd gen MX-73 body style Cressida with an LS in it.
See, I want a Volvo 242.
Okay.
With an LS.
Yeah, that's cool too.
So
I also want a big, dumb, like 50s American car with an LS in it.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So, the line is purist restoration stuff. No. But other than that,
Fox body, who cares?
Other than that,
what's the difference?
Do what you want to do. I mean, there's a 4G63 Fox body out there. I know there's a 4-rotor rotary engine Fox body out there.
Everybody's got 5 liters.
Yep.
Why?
Which actually, the 5 liter is a good motor too, and I would swap that into almost anything else as well. Also, put that in a Volvo.
Yeah, a 740 Volvo, like Paul Newman style.
Yep. Or even in a 240. Who cares? Just put it in there and call it a day.
Yep.
Whatever you can get cheap. Which you could probably. I bet that Ditch Rickson has a 5 liter lying around now. You can put in a Volvo because he took it out to put the LS in.
Yeah.
Mud Raider says he's being sneaky here because now he's asking a question from Instagram and Facebook. What's your favorite piece of Mitsu swag you've ever gotten from an event? Does swag imply free?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the thing that it's the one that got away. We were at MOD one time in New Jersey. They had a raffle for one of the Mitsubishi red jumpsuits that they had in the commercials when they had the warranty thing.
Yep.
And I think I was a couple numbers off. I was like,
that'd be cool to have.
It was such a stupid thing
on the wall.
Yeah. But it would have been cool.
I mean, I'm wearing my 2017 MOD T-shirt right now, actually.
Yeah.
My favorite T-shirt would probably be the 2012 one. They had the silhouettes of the cars.
Oh, see, the one I bought one. It just has the Mitsubishi Motors logo in the front center chest, and on the back it has a crank, and it just says show some backbone.
Okay, that's from MOD.
Yeah, I bought that at MOD.
Must be the year I didn't go.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
But there's not a lot of swag that I've gotten for free from Mitsubishi events. I don't think.
I had one year I went and I had 2 tickets in there, so I got 2 T-shirts, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, but I don't really give away a ton of cool stuff.
No.
I mean, I've gotten a lot of cool stuff, like purchasing them at the events.
Those little bags are kind of useful. The little drawstring bags.
Little drawstring bags, yep.
They're good. Like, I'll throw them in the car with stuff so it doesn't roll around.
I bought some cool old literature at JCCS one year.
Yeah.
A bunch of old Mitsubishi literature, which is pretty awesome. But other than that, no, really no other swag I've gotten, I guess. So that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Did you check your Facebook page, Andrew? Were there any questions there?
I copied it in to our forum. So unfortunately, I didn't see any of yours. You did it kind of later in the day.
I did, because you did it earlier in the day. I figured I'd do it later in the day and kind of catch anybody who missed it the first time around.
Stupid Facebook doesn't let everybody see everything.
There is one question on mine.
Oh, popped up late.
Former guest Eric Corrales.
Okay.
Thoughts on Brad's 2.6 progress? VOR hopes and expectations?
You should show
highlights some MOD and after party?
You should show them the pie chart.
I will post that pie chart later on.
Yes.
And I will tag Eric in it. Anybody else that wants to see it.
Yes.
Yes. It basically says that Brad's project car will never be finished. It will be. It's just, Eric knows some of my story right now, and I'm a little busy. So we'll get there. VOR, hopes and expectations. My truck probably won't be there.
Nope. I am getting a replacement CB. That one I have is apparently bad. They're going to swap it out for me. Well, I'm going to take it out of the truck. They're going to exchange it for me. I'll send it back to the people I bought it from. I hope to have some sliders welded on before.
Yeah, we're going to work on that ourselves, I think.
Yep. That is basically all
I'm going to hold some ransom on that end. I'm not going to help you weld sliders on unless you help me do the valves.
God damn it. All right.
So there are a few VOR spots have opened up as far as people selling their spots. And if my truck is running properly, I may consider it.
Okay.
But I'm not positive.
All right.
So I'm not worried about it, but maybe. We did highlight some of MOD last week.
Yes, we did.
So Eric, you can go back and listen to that.
Which I think came out pretty cool. Let us know if that sounded okay. We think it sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, the In the Car podcast. That was fun.
We'd like to do more In the Car podcasts.
Being our car podcast, we enjoy driving cars.
It's kind of fun to take one of our cars and do one of the extra episodes driving around. That was pretty fun. I think Stephanie liked it too. That was actually her first time on. So
I'm going back into the questions here, and there's another question.
Oh, really? Did I miss one?
Never mind.
No, I didn't miss it. All right. So, again, thank you all for listening. Thanks for giving us some questions. You can follow us on Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, Auto Off Topic. You can follow me on Instagram, Raced in Anger. I've got a couple posts on Right Foot Down. My most recent one was on Climb to the Clouds. It's got some excellent images with it, and I think some okay writing, but you can check that out, Right Foot Down. There's a bunch of other people that write really well on Right Foot Down, and you should definitely read it. It's rightfootdown.com.
Follow the podcast. You already did that one?
I did.
Miss it? All right. So follow me at TSISS350.
Yep.
Also at Vintage Imports New England on Instagram and Facebook.
Please rate and review us on iTunes. That will help us out. Of course, share with your friends. As always, keep your cars analog.
I think next week we should tell people to rate and review at the beginning of the podcast because not everybody listens through the credits in the end.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just a thought.
Yeah, well, whatever. Keep your cars analog.